Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Wieme, and oh my goodness, can I just say that I am so excited for our guest today. Meli Alness is a client of mine, but more than that, you guys, she is a catalyst for change in the world. And Meli, when I think about you, I literally get cheered up because I just think that your mission is so freaking beautiful, and just who you are as a human being is about to blow everybody's socks off, to be quite honest with you guys. So Meli, thank you so much for being a part of the show, and I cannot wait to introduce you to the world. So thanks for being here, girl.
Thanks for having me, Lachelle. I'm super excited to hang out for a little while.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. So you guys, Meli is somebody that has really passion and love and a mission behind everything that she does. And so if you're watching us on YouTube, you may be noticing that I am wearing a killer shirt right now, and Meli's jacket that she's wearing. I'm like, okay, girl, like I need to, stop over and claim that one, because you guys see, Meli is a fashion designer. She is a visionary when it comes to utilizing clothing to essentially create change in the world. Meli, I want you to just tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you do as a launch pad for this conversation.
Okay, well, my business is called Freedom Fibers because our highest value is creating clothing and accessories that are free from exploitation at every step. So not exploiting the environment, and more importantly, not exploiting people, free from exploitation. So there are so many shoppers out there that they don't want their purchasing power to be invested into these exploitive cycles of shopping and, hurting people and hurting the environment, but don't know where to find those other clothes.
Yes.
Like, what do I do? Because it's so prevalent. And there are 80 million garment workers in the world, 80 million people employed in the fashion industry creating clothing, and less than 2% of them get paid a living wage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And not to mention, the other ramifications to this is, the waste that we have. I know that that's something that you're really passionate about too, is utilizing and repurposing some fabrics as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I decided when I started my brand that we were not going to use any new fabric because there is enough fabric in the world existing. And there are trash heaps in Ghana that are visible from outer space of new clothing that American brands and thrift stores send illegally to third world countries, where they pile up and harm the environment and harm people through the breakdown, the microplastics. And so we use about 85% repurposed cotton saris. So the garments that we're both wearing are 3 layers of saris, which are the traditional fabric you've seen on Indian women. And once they are, they've been worn and are thinned out and too thin to be worn as a sari. There's in West Bengal, in the western part of India, they repurpose these saris and stitch them together with a running stitch, which is called kanta, and sewn into blankets. And they've become very popular in the West in the last 10 years or so. And so you've probably seen the blankets around. And then what we do is my team in India sources the blankets and then cuts them up into clothing. And we are zero waste. So any of the scraps that are not used, right as you're cutting out this jacket, of course, there are going to be pieces we reuse. We make ribbon yarn out of the scraps. We make bags out of the scraps. We find things to do with the scraps. So we're repurposing this fabric, and we do also use a little bit of large factory surplus. So when a brand, just think of any big name brand, orders, a million jackets, then sometimes they don't always follow through with that order. And so the mill that has produced the fabric, they have extra fabric left over that the company didn't buy. And so they sell those off really cheaply, just to citizens who want to try to sell them. And on my last trip to India, which was just a few weeks ago, I got to go to one of these surplus markets where Indian people are just trying to make a living by selling off large factory surplus, which would otherwise go to the landfill. Okay. And so we are using now some of those a little bit, but only natural fibers. So only cotton, hemp, linen, wool.
Okay, there's so many places that I can't wait to take this conversation. But I feel like where I want to start is really kind of your origin story of like, how in the heck did you get into doing what you're doing? How was Freedom Fibers birthed, essentially? So give us a little bit of your story.
Oh man, it's a long story, but I think so. I've always been an artist. I mean, since I was a child, I've just been a maker and an artist. And I remember as a young teen, like a tween, being like, I really want to help people in the world, really compelled to mercy type ministry. But I also really wanted to be a professional dancer. And I became a professional dancer, actually. Was born again as a believer in Jesus Christ at the age of 22 while living in New York City shortly after the World Trade Center fell. And then that really continued my struggle with how do I be an artist and not just serve myself or my artistic goals, but also serve humanity. Yeah. And so long story and many things, but in 2020, I was living in Thailand and trying to help artisans there to make their crafts more marketable to the Western audience. Okay. And I felt this, what is the phrase? The Lord put it on my heart. And I realized recently reading Nehemiah in the Bible that is a biblical phrase, that Nehemiah says that the Lord put it on my heart to rebuild the wall. And so I use that purposely. He put it on my heart to start designing clothes with cotton woven fabric. And that was it. Not like start a brand. I don't know. Just start designing. Yeah. And actually, I should go back to when I was a professional dancer, I couldn't totally pay my bills just from my money that I made as a dancer. And so I started designing costumes for other dance companies. So I would design and build costumes, which paid me a little better actually than performing. So I had years of experience in designing clothing. And where was I?
You were talking about, on your heart. So the Lord put it on your heart.
Put it on my heart. I bought a sewing machine. Now, this is after many years of living overseas and acquiring a brain injury through bacterial meningitis and many, many years of rehab and retraining myself to read and to count. I was half paralyzed. There are many, many sufferings, major depression, which if you want to go into that, I'm happy to go and talk about that too. And so in 2020, I still had a lot of brain injury symptoms. I put this calling on my heart. And it wasn't until last year that I was able to act on that thing that he put on my heart, which was starting Freedom Fibers. I started collaborating with a friend in India who's a doctor. Started collaborating with her company, so she's a doctor, but the people in India had said to her after a few years, hey, we really appreciate the medical help. We definitely need that. But what we really need is jobs. Can you help us find jobs? And so she started a leather bag making company. And I started collaborating with her on designing some woven bags. And then I just said to her, hey, what's your vision for your company? How do you want to expand your work and helping the people in your village? And she talked for a while, and I said, well, if you ever want to expand into clothing design, clothing production, I have a background in clothing design, and sewing is sewing. So just let me know if that ever comes on the plate.
Yeah.
And she said, well, there actually is a young woman that she really, really loves to sew clothing. She doesn't want to work for me because she prefers to sew clothing. So she introduced us, and this woman is amazing. She is a survivor. She was a child bride. She is amazing, and she is now the lead sewist at our workshop, which employs 4 people.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And what I want to just point out, you guys, is that people often come to me and they're like, Lachelle, I need to discover my purpose. And what I love to help people to remember is that God is always planting these seeds in our hearts. And it's whether or not we're listening and whether or not we're willing to just take that next aligned, inspired action, because he doesn't necessarily need us to know all of the steps. I oftentimes joke that if he shows us what's possible, brings us to the top of the mountain occasionally and lets us do this, 360 view, and then takes us back down and says, now trust me, the next step, and then the next step after that. And so it's like, you recognize this, you didn't know what it was all going to do, but he utilized your passion. He utilized the skills that you already had, and he placed this on your heart. And then he started to bring you people that were going to help to fulfill this mission. And your job was really just to listen and to be obedient and take the next step, and then to take the next step and take the next step. And so now here we are, utilizing all of these beautiful gifts into this clothing line that you have, Meli, is, you guys, it is so beautiful. And I think that, as somebody who, I love fashion, so people who know me know that I love to put things together. I love pretty things. I also love my baseball cap on a Friday night. Like, don't get me wrong, but I love just the way that clothing becomes an art and the way that it makes us feel. And a couple of years ago, in my Spar Love journey, I really recognized the fact that, when I deem myself worthy, and I really believe that, I start to notice more, I don't know, like preferences, I guess, on what I put on my body. And I don't want my clothes to feel itchy and rough. I don't want my clothes to make me feel constricted. I don't want my clothing to feel like it's not the highest expression of me. And so I've paid attention to good fabrics that have good frequency around them. I pay attention to how my body feels when I'm wearing things, and I love it to look beautiful. And that's really what your clothing does, is that, you guys, I'm wearing one of her creations right now, and I'm just going to take a moment to just acknowledge something with this. So Meli, dropped off. I'm grateful enough that I live close to you right now. So I'm just so honored that you and I at least get a chance to like hug and see each other occasionally. But this is one of the creations that she dropped off to me. And what I want to just pay attention to is the deliberateness of everything. There's detail in here that, you guys, is carefully thought out. Every single tiny piece is beautifully brought together to create this feeling. I also love the fact that I could wear this top 4 different ways, because it's like front and back could be changed around, and I can put it inside out. So it's just really fun, the creativeness that I have within this garment. I love that I'm wearing so high-rise jeans right now. I don't know, I'm going to stand up real quick, but like the way that it's cut is allowing me to have this really cute like top of my high-rise jeans in a way that is a very cool like boho look that goes really well with my style. And I just love how soft it is. And the stitching on here is so intentional that it's like, it's not only serving its purpose by bringing the fabrics together, but it's really beautiful in which you have done this. It's also when I tried on several different shirts, it was like, oh my gosh, like this one is complimentary, this one's complimentary, this one's complimentary. Like the way in which you cut the fabric is like one of those things where it doesn't almost do it justice until you put it on your body, and you get to see the way that it sits and the way that it accentuates different things. And there's something else that I noticed when I looked at the labels that you have, is that many of these garments are essentially one size fits all, in the sense that like you can, they're just going to sit and hit us in such beautiful ways that it doesn't matter if you're a size 4 or a size 14. Like it doesn't matter. And I don't know, am I catching this vibe well enough by just the exposure that I've had?
Yes, I'm so delighted with your very accurate analysis. And your you know, that you can see that. Not everyone can see it, but then when I explain, like, actually, this looks really good on you, because there's certain trends that different generations are like, oh, I don't wear that, or I don't wear this. And I'm like, well, can you just try it on and let me explain to you why this looks really good on you and is actually really flattering. And then they'll be like, oh, you know, my parents' generation love the clothes, and my teenager loves the clothes.
Yeah.
And you know, they're also, I wanted to mention, they're one of a kind.
Yes.
So each piece is one of a kind because of the repurposed saris. So you're right, it's very intentional. I'm teaching my staff and my lead sewist about designing, but every garment that they make, first I taught them how to create. I designed it, taught them how to, you know, we made the patterns, how to cut it. And then every piece, she takes a picture of the fabric, front and back, and I draw out where to cut which piece, so that you know, the triangle hits at a certain part of the body, so that you know, your shirt, that the green is 2/3 on the one side. And I even left and right, I even consider the female side and the male side, and which side do we want to put this more flowery, expressive part. And I muscle test too, if you're
yes, you know, I teach that stuff in all my programs, so I love that so much.
So like I muscle test, like if I'm making something for myself, like which side do you want on the left? Because I do use asymmetry, and you know, do you want this on your left side? And usually it's yes, I want that on my female side. I want it. But yeah, so every piece is so intentional and so collaborative. And the women are really excited about this last trip to India. They were able to, I broadened the scope of their roles by allowing them to choose some fabrics and seeing, like, what would you put with this? Why is this good or not good? How does this look to a Western eye? And so training them in the design elements has been really, really fun and life-giving. And they're so amazing. And if we have time, I'd love to tell you about some of these ladies.
Let's do it. Let's just go there, because I think that's the beauty of this, is that it's not just beautiful clothing. It's, I'm going to back up from the end user perspective. Like, it's me embodying my individuality when I wear something like this, because it's one of a kind, handcrafted, beautiful, luxurious feeling texture. So I have to deem myself subconsciously or consciously worthy of something as beautiful and to own this space, right? So you've given me that gift of owning and recognizing my worth and being able to express it externally. So thank you for that. And then all the way back to, you know, who's creating this. There's gifts and freedoms and worthiness in all of this. So tell us a little bit more about these ladies that you are collaborating with on this project.
Yes, it is my joy and my privilege to know these women. They're so inspiring. They're all survivors. They all have their own story of perseverance in life. My lead sewist, Just for security purposes, I'm not going to share their names, but she's 31. She was sent away to be a house slave halfway across the country when she was 11. She slept on the kitchen floor. She was a literal Cinderella. She cooked and cleaned for another family because her parents were poor, right? They couldn't support her. And she grew up knowing that it's bad enough to have one daughter, but she was the third daughter in the family. And she was married off to a 45-year-old alcoholic when she was 14. He died. She was sent to be remarried to a violently abusive man. She gave birth to beautiful twin girls, and he was a farmer, and she worked out in the fields all day and took care of her girls and was beaten violently, and should have given a trigger warning, sorry. But she ran away in 2020.
Okay.
She ran to her parents, not knowing if they would let her in or not. And her words are that she ran for her life. She said, I was on the train just hugging my two girls and thinking, how are we ever gonna survive? And she did. She met my American friend that I've mentioned earlier. She met the Lord. And something really significant, and I know we have people from all different backgrounds listening to this, but her testimony of how the God of the Bible changed her is that as a Hindu, she never prayed for anyone else. And from her perspective, Hindus don't pray for anyone but themselves or their families. And she said, when I became a Christian, I started having a heart to care for people on the street that I didn't even know, and these street children and these other women. And I pray for them and I want to help them and I want to serve them. And it's so beautiful. And she's very, very smart. And she had this dream since a child to sew clothing.
Oh.
And she says to me, I communicate with her on WhatsApp at least twice a week. And she says to me all the time, I am living my dream. I am living my dream. She says, you are such a good designer. I'm living my dream. And she's so fun. And she's a beautiful leader. She's a great leader and a servant. And she has hired these other 3 women. One of them is also very skilled with her hands. She's considered a cripple. She's physically disabled because of a bad vaccination she received as a 1-year-old. So she has she is able to walk, but she is significantly impaired in her mobility.
Yeah.
And walks with a significant limp. She's a widow. She's had to, fight for everything in her life. And many people in India that have that kind of disability are beggars their whole life.
Right.
But she's been a fighter, and she's very, very gifted and very intelligent. And then there's another woman who is she actually, my friend thinks she has fetal alcohol syndrome because of her story of how her mother was, and because of a lot of the physical challenges she has.
Yeah.
She has chronic pancreatitis. She has a lot of physical pain, and she's had several abdominal surgeries. And when I was there a few weeks ago, she just kept saying, please give me more work. Please give me more work. I want to quit my cleaning and cooking job so I can just sew all day.
Yeah.
And she's just worked so hard to get to the level she's at. She hasn't given up. And one of the things that I'm understanding is that a lot of these women that haven't had an education, they don't, the fact that my lead sewist and I are saying, okay, this is how you get better. Instead of in their lives, they've experienced, okay, do this. You're not good at it. Okay, we can't work with you. But okay, this is hard. This is really hard. This is really hard to figure out how to turn the fabric to make a nice clean seam, and we're going to show you some ways to do it better. And we're not going to give up on you. And we're going to keep teaching you, and we're going to make you rip it out and do it again. Because we believe that you can do it better.
Right.
And that's something new. That's something new that these women haven't experienced. And so the delight that they've had in showing me, the boss comes to town and they're like, this one, I made, like, this girl is like, I'm just going to call her A. She's like, she's like, I made this dress. I made this. Like, she's just waiting for my praise, and it's amazing. And I'm like, oh, it is. It's amazing. And then I just have to tell you about one more girl. She's the newest one, and she's 18 or 19. She was also a child bride, and her husband is also violently abusive, and she has a 3-year-old daughter. And she has ran away from him multiple times, and her parents kept sending her back. And recently she said, no, absolutely no, I am not ever going back to that man, which is amazing that she would have that strength to say that, because in a culture where it's so common, he says, no, I am not going back. And the women in the village there and at the workshop have helped her to get an apartment of her own. And so she and her daughter have their own apartment. But she's 18. I mean, she feels like my daughter to me. Like, she's got this 3-year-old that she doesn't know how to take care of.
Right.
It's so beautiful because the women, the other sewists in the group are coming along around her, and they scold her for not bringing lunch for her 3-year-old, but then they give her 3-year-old their food, and so they're really like mothering both of them and trying to help them to survive. And she also works, and she's very talented at henna tattoos. And so she did a henna tattoo for me, and I gave her 500 rupees for doing it. She's like, no, I just did this for a gift. And I'm like, 500 rupees is about $5. And she was like, no, that's way too much. No. And the other women were like, take it. You have a skill. This is a skill. Because other in that neighborhood, you would get henna art for like 100 rupees.
Yeah.
And she's like, 500, no. And I said, yeah, in the US, you'd pay 50 US for this. So these women are so dear, and you would just all want to squeeze them and hug them and love them.
And I love that literally you embody what Freedom Fibers is all about in every single aspect of your business. And Meli, I just want to say, from somebody who really just loves, adores, and respects you, you are loving on these women and you're telling their story. But I just have to say to all of our listeners how unbelievably impressed I am with you, Meli. Considering that when we first started working together, like you were like, Lachelle, I have this brain injury that has created within me ways that I have to learn how to do things differently. And yet you were like, but I have a calling and I need to figure this out. So help me figure this out. Right. And then watching you have young kids that you're navigating. You have a husband who needs extra support with you right now in his medical journey. And there's so many things that are stacked against you. And you're like, no, I'm going to figure this out. And you just do it. And I want to say, like, you not only embody what you're talking about with these women, but you also are modeling for them. You're modeling strength, and you're modeling perseverance, and you're modeling leadership. And there's something else that you said just a couple of minutes ago about how you also have expectations, and you want your garments to be the top of the line, and you want to make sure that the women that are working with you are understanding the quality that you expect. And I think a lot of women, we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, or we don't want, I'm just going to say it, like, I'm being a B word if I have an expectation and demand of something, and instead of saying no, like, this is what I expect, and I believe in you enough that I know that you can achieve this. Instead of, I think that sometimes when we don't verbalize what our expectations are, and we don't allow somebody to rise up to that, we're essentially telling them consciously or subconsciously that I don't believe that you're capable of doing this, or that we don't believe that we're worthy enough of expecting something in that space. And you have literally been the embodiment of both of that. Like, I believe in what I do so much that I expect this. And as a woman, as a CEO, as a founder of a company, that this is the expectation that I have. And I'm going to empower you by not only believing in you, but showing you how to do this and honoring you and me at the same time. Like, that's missing in so many of the women that I speak to on a regular basis. And I just love watching you and all that you're capable of.
Oh, praise the Lord. Thank you for that.
Yeah. I know it's hard for us to take compliments sometimes. And so I'm like, just receive it, because I have mad respect for you. And I think that you just are an amazing, amazing gift to me, to the women that get to work with you, and to the fashion industry, honestly. So for those of you guys who are watching this and, definitely have this sense of individuality, and you don't want to look like everybody else, and you want to, you take your fabrics that you have on your body seriously, the frequencies and the texture of them, and you have a cool boho vibe, like, this is definitely something that you're going to want to check out. But more importantly, if that's not, your vibe, I want you guys to know that there's this company out there that is changing lives, and that we need to spread the word about Freedom Fibers. And you, not only do you have, shirts, but you have pants and dresses and jackets and bags. Like, your bags are so stinking cute.
Yeah, we have, and we're just expanding all the time. I mean, it's maybe not the wisest decision for a new label to just be expanding their product line, but the women love having new designs to work on, and I love creating new designs. And so we came up with some gorgeous new pieces and jackets when I was there, that will be coming out soon. So there's always, I think there is something for everyone. And I just want to tell this little story, if I can, about after my third child was born, I was quite ill. And when my mom came to see me in the hospital, she had taken the time to dress herself really nicely. And she had on some bracelets and some earrings, and her clothing had been chosen with intention, and she looked so beautiful. She'd put on makeup, and she just looked so beautiful. And it was such a blessing to me, feeling really crummy and nearly bleeding to death the day before, to see her looking so beautiful. That was just a gift. And it really was significant to me, because I think that growing up in the Midwest, I felt this kind of judgment of, and that I had judgment of, if you dress up or if you look different or don't just wear a hoodie and jeans, you're trying to do something.
Yeah.
Like, be, I don't know, trying to be something not good.
Yeah.
That was looked down on, like, who do you think you are? And just that, actually, no, when we take the time to present ourselves with beauty, that it's really can be a blessing to other people. And I was just really blessed by my mom doing that. So just like the story.
Yeah, I love that so much. And I adore your mom. Like, we met in church, actually. That's how Meli and I got to know each other, is I met her mom in church. And I think that Colleen remembered me when my daughter was born. I actually sewed these cute little dresses for her that were very similar in the style of just piecing together different fabrics that were a very unique, one of a kind thing for my little girl. Now, my little girl's spunky, so by the time she was 3, she's like, "You're not dressing me anymore, mama." Like, I got my own style, and so that came and went. But I think that there's something about just honoring yourself, and that's the thing that I was just talking to some people this last weekend. I was at a women's retreat, and so many of us are like this shirt that I'm wearing, where it's like the masculine not supposed to go with the feminine and the silliness and the whatever. Like, there's like all these things. And I'm like, when I think about who I am somebody who is like super maybe inspirational in the sense of like, the personal growth and the empowerment that I give people, because I believe in people oftentimes more than they believe in themselves at the time. And I let that showcase through my heart, and I bring people along on this journey. So there's that part of me, right? That empowering part of me. But I'm also like a silly, sarcastic, like funny person. And sometimes like they don't feel like they fit. And then there's sometimes where I'm just like this introvert who just wants to just sit and reflect and observe and watch and not have to interact with anybody. And then there are times where, I get to be this person or that person. And the thing is that I am all of that.
Mhm.
My being is like this beautiful shirt. And there are times where, like I was saying before, like I love a good baseball cap and a pair of jeans on a Friday night, having a cold beer at a fire, right?
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
love putting on this beautiful, I wore this absolutely gorgeous dress that I got in Greece at a boutique that was hand woven. And I purchased it because of the care that was taken when it was made, and I felt beautiful in it. And so like I get to be all of that. I get to be the woman who loves to wear the heels and the, Adidas tennis shoes. Like I get to be all of that. And I think that, trying to make ourselves into something else, or feeling like we can't showcase a certain part of ourselves, is not being true to our authentic self.
Yeah.
And I love that. If I want to feel beautiful today, dang it, I'm going to put on this bright pink lipstick and I'm going to own it.
Yeah. And, another thing is too, I think really, especially, and it's really well intentioned, but somehow the fast fashion, and when I'm talking fashion, people, I don't mean like the trends and the runways. I just mean clothing.
Mm-hmm.
If you wear clothing, you are part of the fashion industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm talking fashion, I mean clothing. And the clothing industry has shifted our mindset to that clothing should be cheap. But historically, clothing has never been cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Not until we started exploiting people in
Right.
underprivileged countries did clothing ever become cheap.
Right.
And so, and Lachelle, as you're talking about, as the customer, what your worth is in wearing. And I think that I hear a lot of like, I have a dress for $100, and they were like, oh, I would never spend more than $20 on a dress. And I just want to challenge that thought that, you would feel guilty spending that money on yourself, the $100.
Right.
But really, if you want to feel guilty, about a purchase, you can feel guilty about the $20 dress that you bought, that the worker was paid 2 cents
Mm-hmm.
and working in unsafe conditions and not able to send their kids to school.
Yeah.
And not able to feed their family.
Right.
Because they're being excessively exploited. And so, you are worth the $100 dress, and also you can feel really good knowing if, not all $100 dresses are slow fashion. I'm not saying that, but our dresses are, right?
Yes.
And we know the people that are making them, and we know that they are making a living wage. So
yes. Oh my gosh. It is so funny that when you were talking, what I thought of is how many of you guys, like, and I mean, like subconsciously and like actually raise your hand, have been given a compliment. Like, oh my gosh, that is such a cute dress. And your instant reaction is not thank you. It's, oh my gosh, I got it for $20, or I got it for $5 at, TJ Maxx or whatever. Like, it's almost like we can't take a compliment. We have to diminish it by telling somebody what a great deal we got on it. I mean, for real, like it happens all the time. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a cute shirt. Instead of saying thank you, it's like, yeah, I got it for $3 at whatever, at Old Navy. And so what I want to do is acknowledge that, number one, if somebody gives you a compliment, freaking take it. But number two is, what if what if you deflected not to, oh my gosh, I got this like this cheap here, but instead be like, oh my gosh, thank you. I received that. And let me tell you about the mission behind this garment. Like, let me tell you, like, oh my gosh, you love my dress. Thank you. Yes. Let me tell you, it was hand woven in Greece, and I love the woman's story. Let me tell you about the Freedom Fibers brand that I have behind this, because this was actually hand sewn in India, with a woman who designs the clothes here in America to help give people a fresh start and to allow for the freedom of every single part of the process. Like, let me tell you about that. And I just think that that's what, as somebody who's worked alongside of you in business, that yes, your clothing is amazing. Yes, it feels great. Yes, it looks good. And you know that I love the mission behind it, the story behind it, because that is your superpower, my love. That is where you shine in my mind so much, is this what you're trying to do and what you are doing in the world to make the world better through beautiful things. And I just want to say thank you for everything that you do within Freedom Fibers. Is there anything, Meli, that we haven't had a chance to touch on that you really want to mention?
Yeah, actually there's one thing, which is you were complimenting me on that the challenges come and I just go ahead and I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I just want to acknowledge that there are times and places when your body chemistry and your situation and, I was severely depressed for years after my brain injury. I was very ill. I cried every day with my 2 little kids. We would all 3 just cry together because mommy couldn't do the things I needed to do as a mom. I didn't know, they didn't tell me I had a brain injury. And so I hadn't gotten any therapy to retrain my brain. I just knew everything was really hard. And so, be gentle with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And there is, just be gentle with yourself and know that, I think that for a lot of years, I thought this is life. This is this suffering of the pain and the dizziness and the vertigo and I would lose my ability to speak when my brain was taxed, and auditory processing would go out the window and I couldn't understand what you were saying. And everybody would be like, you look fine, you're fine, what's going on? So all that to say, like, there's always hope.
Mm-hmm.
I never believed that I would have the capabilities that I have now, 10 years later. It's been 10 years. And so just don't give up hope if you're not there right now. If you feel like I should start this business, but it's just really hard. And, like she said, just take the next step and give yourself some grace.
I love that so much. You guys, make sure that you go to Meli's website, Freedom Fibers. It's absolutely amazing. You can purchase things right on her site, and we'll have all of the links that you need inside the show notes as well. Meli, thank you so much for sharing your gifts with the world, with me today, with our audience, and I just adore you so much. So thank you for being here, you guys. Thanks for listening, and let's continue this movement, shall we? Let's continue to not only deem ourselves worthy enough of nice things, but also to really support something even bigger than ourselves and join in this movement. So, all right, you guys, I will see you next week. And Meli, thank you so much for being here.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to iam-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.